Out of the funnies into your homes, and we hope your hearts too, the makers of Camel cigarettes bring you Blondie. Before we drop over to the Bumstead house to visit Chick Young's famous characters Blondie and Dagwood, a word from the makers of Camel cigarettes. Now, one of the things that makes Camel cigarettes so different is that Camel's costlier tobaccos are slower burning. Recent scientific tests confirm it. But you don't need a stopwatch to tell you that Camels are slower burning. You've got a better way of knowing. You'll find that Camels are cooler, milder. Better tasting, too, because that slow-burning feature of Camels lets the flavor and fragrant aroma come through to you. Your throat, too, will appreciate the gentleness of slow-burning Camels. And, of course, a cigarette that burns slower is going to give you more actual smoking. By burning 25% slower than the average of the 15 other of the largest-selling brands tested, slower than any of them, Camels give a smoking plus equal to 5 extra smokes per pack. So for extra smoking and extra pleasure, smoke the slow-burning cigarette of costlier tobaccos, Camel. And now we're ready for our weekly date with the Bumsteads. This time we find Dagwood with his employer, J.C. Dithers, standing in the living room of a newly completed bungalow. Listen.
Well, Bumstead, is this a typical Dithers dream home, or isn't it?
Oh, sure.
Does that fireplace look like the kind where a young couple could sit, gazing at flickering flames, or not?
Yes, sir. Why, that's our regular number 413.
413A, Bumstead.
Oh.
The hearth of a lifelong honeymoon, $12.85 extra.
Oh.
And what about the furniture, Bumstead?
It's okay.
You mean it breeds contentment, don't you? If it doesn't, that decorator overcharged me.
Are you going to furnish all the houses you build now, Mr. Dithers?
Not by a long shot, I'm not. I was crazy to furnish this one.
Yes, sir.
What?
I mean, why did you furnish this one?
To please Lochinvar Stipple.
Huh?
Stipple's an old bachelor with a barrel of money and a lot of romantic ideas about marriage and love in a cottage. He keeps talking about lamplit windows in an ideal home for two. So he wants to play Cupid by providing dream homes for honeymoon couples, easy terms, and no down payment, if he can just put the right people in the right houses.
Yeah?
Claims he doesn't want to make a cent.
Gosh, I wish I'd met him when I first married Blondie.
If you'd waited for him to provide a home, you'd be living on a vacant lot today, Bumstead.
Why?
Oh, because he can't seem to find a place that lives up to his ideas. I started showing him new houses, and he said they all looked too empty. Then I furnished this one, and he still didn't like it. He seems to expect to find his honeymooners all moved in and holding hands in front of the fire.
Say, that's a good idea. You know what Eddie Guest said? It takes a heap of living in a house to make it home. Why don't you furnish some people, too?
Well, Bumstead, I'm glad you mentioned that. I had the same idea.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh.
Only I'm not going to turn this new furniture over to strangers. I want someone I can hold responsible.
Oh, sure. Responsible people is what you want. Don't get anyone who would come in and start throwing parties for their friends and relatives. Get someone who would kind of move in and then relax.
Well, Bumstead, you relax easier than any man I've ever met.
Yeah,
How about you and Blondie moving in here for a while?
Oh, no, Mr. Dithers. It's a nice place, but all this new furniture and all.
Why, you two could make believe you were just starting on your honeymoon.
Well, who would we make believe Baby Dumpling was?
Huh? Oh. Well, you could leave Baby Dumpling with the Fuddles. Get a complete change.
I don't know. Blondie and I are kind of used to Baby Dumpling now, and Daisy the dog would miss it.
Oh, nonsense. Look, I'd make it worth your while, Bumstead.
No, look. Oh, I got a better idea, Mr. Dithers. I know some real honeymooners, nice, steady people, too. Blondie's Aunt Bessie and her husband, Mr. Sneevil.
Huh? They don't sound very romantic to me. Stipple wants romance.
Oh, you ought to see them, like kids. Blondie and I brought them together, and I bet they'd be glad to do us a favor.
But I wanted to settle the deal with Stipple this weekend. If I can do that, I can sell him a lot of homes, and besides that...
I could wire...
Well, it's against my better judgment, Bumstead. Anytime I leave anything to you, something goes sour. But I'll settle for Aunt Bessie and Weevil if...
Sneevil.
Huh? Oh, what's the difference? I'll settle for them on one condition. You and Blondie come in here first. Let Blondie sort of warm the place up. She has a knack around the house. Then if her Aunt Bessie doesn't come, you two will have to go through with the romantic stuff for Stipple.
Well, I'll ask Blondie, and if she's game, I am.
Then it's a deal, Bumstead. Now, when I bring Stipple, be sure there's a fire in the grate and soft lamps glowing all over the place.
Okay.
Remember, he's strong on lighted windows.
Blondie! Open the door, will you?
Oh, Dagwood! Oh, my goodness, what's that?
Our trunk. Hold the door open till I get it in.
But Dagwood, we won't need a trunk, will we? Goodness, we may not even stay overnight if Aunt Bessie and Gideon get here in time. And if we did need anything extra to wear, we could run over to the house for it.
Yeah. I brought over some knickknacks.
Knickknacks?
Yeah, it's stuff to scatter around. Make the place homey, you know.
Oh, Dagwood, there are too many things in this house now. I've been changing the furniture around and putting things away all afternoon. Well, just let the trunk stand in the hallway there for now.
Say, it's pretty dark in here. Why don't you light up the lamps, huh? Dithers says Mr. Stipple is strong on lots of warm lights and stuff.
Then Mr. Dithers should have thought to have had the electricity turned on.
Isn't it on?
No, Dagwood. No electricity, gas, or phone. No heat yet.
No?
Except the fireplace.
Yeah, that isn't burning up very well, is it?
No. The wood's sort of green, I think. It smokes.
I don't think this is going to be what Dithers wants Mr. Stipple to see.
Well, we'll do the best we can. I ran over to the neighbors and phoned everybody to turn everything on, and they said they would. But they didn't say just when.
Yeah. Say, I smell kerosene.
Oh, it's this oil lantern I borrowed. It smokes, too.
It doesn't give out much light, either.
Oh, dear. I did want the place to look cozy for Mr. Stipple. You know, Dagwood, I think his idea is lovely. Furnishing little honeymoon places for people.
Well, maybe the lights will come on before he gets here, and the firewood may dry out and burn. Say, when are Aunt Bessie and Gideon due?
Any minute, I think. I got a funny wire from her. It said...
Hey, what's that?
Oh, the front door.
Yeah?
I wonder if... Oh, it's Aunt Bessie.
Was that you, Blondie Bumstead?
Oh, of course. Oh, I'm so glad to see you, Aunt Bessie. Here, Dagwood, help her with her bag. Come right in.
Hello, Aunt Bessie.
Oh, I like to have gone right on by. What, with no lights or anything? What's the matter with the lights?
They'll be turned on soon. Look out for that trunk. Here, Dagwood, put her bags by the trunk. Just for now.
Okay.
Come on in, dear.
Gosh, 5 bags. And it looks like you've left home for good, Aunt Bessie.
And so I have, too.
Yeah. Huh?
What?
I say, and so I have left home. Not that I'd call that ugly big barn of a house home. It was bad enough when I lived with my family, and they used to sit around like it was a wake, waiting for Gideon Sneevil to come and claim me. 13 years I waited, as you well know, Blondie. And if I'd have known what was in store for me, I'd have waited till doomsday before I'd have trusted my life to that man.
You mean Uncle Gideon?
That's who I married, ain't it? For better or worse, I took him. And how was I to know how much worse it would turn out to be?
Oh, dear, you've quarreled with Mr. Sneevil.
Well, I thought you had just come back from your honeymoon.
And so we had. But when a man deserts his bride, the honeymoon is over.
Uncle Gideon deserted you?
Well, he's off on another trip. Packed up his samples of anchors and lit out. And good riddance to rubbish, too.
Oh, well, maybe it's just a business trip.
I don't care what it is. He won't find me waiting when he gets back. Oh, I was mighty glad to get your wire inviting me here.
Yeah, but we kind of wanted you and Uncle Gideon both.
Well, of course, if I'm not welcome.
Oh, now, Aunt Bessie, Dagwood doesn't mean that at all.
Well,
it was just that we thought you and Uncle Gideon both being here would make this a real honeymoon cottage. Oh, dear. What made Uncle Gideon leave home?
Well, he laid it to Horace and Sylvester. You know, Aunt Gracie's boys.
Oh, yes. Where did he meet them?
They dropped past the house for a little visit. And at first, butter wouldn't melt in Gideon's mouth. He was that polite. The boys took to him so well, they decided to stay a spell.
You mean they moved in with you?
Well, it ain't as if it was a small house. There's 8 bedrooms in that place of Sneevil's, and that I pointed out to him when he began his grumbling. But he says to me, "Why can't Sylvester sleep in a bedroom, then, instead of my favorite chair," he says.
Oh, I see. What else did Sylvester do?
Not a blessed thing. I guess that's why Sneevil didn't take so kindly to him after a while. Sylvester does a lot of thinking, and he can't do it so good unless he's lying down.
What does he think about?
Oh, about what he's going to be in life. He says it's a serious thing to pick out a career. He's been thinking about it ever since he was 21, and he can't make up his mind yet.
That's quite a long while, Aunt Bessie.
Well, Sylvester's just turned 45.
He certainly gave it careful consideration.
Poor boy. He's all wore out from the thinking and the worrying. Oh, and that Sneevil never would let him be. Why, when Sneevil went off to work mornings, he'd complain that Sylvester was a-snoring on the living room couch. And when he'd come home to lunch, he'd make him get up and come to the table. And when he'd come home at night, he'd complain that Sylvester was taking his afternoon nap in his chair. Never gives the boy a minute's peace.
Well, maybe if Sylvester had shown a little more energy.
Don't you believe it? Horace had energy and to spare. And Sneevil got mad at Horace, too.
What did Horace do?
Just tried to be helpful, is all. He fixed Gideon's car for him. At least he tried to.
What went wrong?
Well, seems like the gears on the car was making a noise, so Horace up and took 'em out and putted round and put 'em back. Worked like a beaver on it.
Yeah?
But Gideon Sneevil complained that when he was through, the car wouldn't run no way but backwards.
No?
He backed it out, and it backed around the block, and it backed back into the garage, and his language was a caution to hear. That's why he packed up and let out on a train.
Oh, gosh, that's too bad. Well, you can stay here tonight, Aunt Bessie, anyway, and then go visit your own folks a while, huh?
Oh, and let them say to my face that after waiting for a man for 13 years, up and made a fizzle of my marriage, I'll die before I ever go home.
Well, don't worry about it tonight, Aunt Bessie. You can stay here and rest.
For a while she can, but this isn't our house, Blondie. It's Mr. Dithers and...
Please, Dagwood, not now.
Oh, let him go on. I know I ain't wanted. Here, nowhere.
Now, Aunt Bessie.
Oh, family couldn't wait to get me off their hands. Gideon as much as turned me out the door, and now you, hinting about my going before I even took off my hat.
Well, Aunt Bessie...
Nobody wants a lone woman. That's how it is.
Now that isn't true a bit. You come on upstairs with me and lie down.
Just a burden to one and all. That's my end.
Oh, no. You're welcome with us, Aunt Bessie.
Of course you are. Come on now. Would you like a nice cup of tea?
Oh, don't go to no trouble for me.
Oh, it won't take a minute to make.
Yeah, not after the gas gets turned on.
No gas.
Please, Aunt Bessie, please. Come on upstairs and lie down. My goodness, you're all upset.
Your relatives. Oh, golly. I hope that isn't Dithers. Who is that? Wait till I turn up the lantern.
Bumstead, huh? Where is she?
Who? Why, it's Uncle Gideon.
Shh. Where's Bessie? Now, don't tell me she ain't here, Bumstead. I found this on the doorstep.
A birdcage?
With her lovebirds in it. Of course, she left the parrot for me to feed.
I guess I forgot to bring that cage in with her bag.
What is all this stuff in the hall?
Oh, a trunk and stuff. Come on in, Mr. Sneevil.
What's the matter with the lights?
They're going to turn them on pretty soon, I think.
I don't like the looks of this, Bumstead. Now, what have you done with Bessie?
I haven't done anything with her. She just went upstairs with Blondie. She's pretty mad at you.
Well, I've come to have it out with her once and for all. A pretty kettle of fish this is. Where'll I put this anchor?
Anchor? Oh, one of your samples.
Certainly it's a sample. I brought it to prove it was a business trip I was on.
Oh, well, let's see. Oh, put it here in the hall with the other stuff. Now, that must be pretty heavy to lug around.
Not as heavy as my heart, Bumstead. There I was, a happy married man, when a snake crept into my Eden. 2 snakes, Sylvester and Horace.
Dagwood, what's going on down there?
Shh, don't say I'm here yet. I want to confront Bessie.
What good will that do?
Maybe if I take her by surprise, I can get in a word or two before she starts talking.
Well, she was crying when she went upstairs.
Oh, she always does that when she runs out of talk. She knows I can't stand it.
Dagwood, why don't you answer me?
Maybe he can't speak. He's unconscious down there in the dark. Oh, I felt it in my bones. Something was going to happen.
She got her voice back.
Yeah. You sure you want to stay? They'll be down in a minute.
I'll just stand back here in the shadows, back of the couch. Okay.
Dagwood Bumstead, who was that at the door? Why, what's this anchor doing here?
Just lying there.
An anchor? Oh, that means Sneevil. He's followed me. Don't let him take me, Blondie.
Now, Aunt Bessie, maybe he's come to make up with you.
Then he's wasting time. I give him the best years of my life.
Oh, is that so?
Oh, there he is, eavesdropping.
Now, Bessie, listen.
Lurking in the shadows.
Sure. Stop, lurk, and listen. That's my motto. Oh, now let's be sensible.
Don't come